Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into a career path that's, well, essential is a good word for it.
Absolutely. It's a job that keeps things moving literally and figuratively.
We're talking about the world of rolling stock inspectors. And let me tell you, our sources this time around a career guide and some really cool insights from RoleCatcher paint a picture that's a lot more demanding than you might think.
It really is. When most people think transportation jobs, they think conductor or engineer,
Yeah.
someone up front.
Right, the more visible roles.
Exactly. But these inspectors are the unsung heroes working behind the scenes, making sure your commute or your shipment of, well, whatever you're shipping, arrives safely.
It's one of those jobs that you don't really think about until something goes wrong.
Right. No one wants to think about that.
Exactly. The guide kept mentioning technical devices, and I have to admit, I was picturing like a fancy coffee maker in the break room. Not quite the image I had for train inspection.
Well, trains are surprisingly complex machines. We're not just talking about making sure the wheels go round. Think about it. Every single part of that train, from the wheels and axles to the suspension systems, the couplings that connect the cars, even the doors and air conditioning needs to function perfectly in sync.
Oh, so even the stuff that makes the passengers comfortable is part of it.
Absolutely. Each of those components has its own set of technical specifications, potential points of failure. It's a lot to keep track of.
Okay, so maybe not as simple as checking the oil, making sure the horn works. And speaking of not so simple, the work environment section of the guide makes it clear this is not your typical 9 to 5 desk job.
Oh, not even close. Imagine inspecting a train car in the middle of a snowstorm or in the sweltering heat, or working in the cramped space beneath a carriage surrounded by equipment.
You'd have to be pretty nimble.
You need a certain tolerance for grime, that's for sure. And it's not just the physical conditions either. Trains carry everything from grain to hazardous materials, so there are strict safety protocols to follow at every single step.
It sounds like you need a very particular kind of person to handle all of that.
Yeah.
Someone who's not afraid of a little dirt under their fingernails, who can stay focused when things get chaotic.
Exactly. This job requires a unique blend of technical know-how, physical stamina, and let's not forget meticulous attention to detail. Because even a seemingly minor oversight could snowball into something much bigger down the line.
And that's where those technical documents and checklists come into play, right?
Right.
It's not just checking a box, it's understanding the why behind it.
Absolutely. Every inspection, every repair, every adjustment, it all gets documented meticulously.
So it's creating a history of that train car, essentially.
Exactly. And that history, those records, they directly impact the safety and efficiency of the entire rail network.
Because if something goes wrong, you can go back and retrace the steps.
Precisely. You can figure out what happened, why it happened, and hopefully prevent it from happening again. It's about accountability and continuous improvement. And speaking of things that are connected, the industry trends section really caught my eye. It sounds like a career in rolling stock inspection offers a level of stability that's, frankly, kind of rare these days. And there's a good reason to that. The world is looking for more sustainable transportation options, and that means efficient, reliable rail systems are only going to become more important in the future.
So job security is a big plus. But I'm still kind of stuck on the what if something goes wrong scenario. Can you paint a picture for us? What actually happens if a faulty train car slips through the cracks?
Oh, the ripple effects can be huge. Imagine a freight train carrying, say, consumer goods worth millions of dollars. Now, let's say a single axle fails. That entire train could derail, causing massive delays across the network. We're talking about businesses left in limbo, waiting for deliveries, goods potentially damaged. It could even lead to shortages.
It's amazing how one small thing can snowball into something so disruptive.
It's all connected, and it highlights just how crucial this job really is. It's not just about keeping trains running on time, it's about protecting lives, livelihoods, the flow of goods and services.
It's the backbone of a functioning economy in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
But okay, so it's clearly a vital job, but the career guide doesn't sugarcoat it. It's demanding, it can be high stress. So let's dive into those pros and cons and see what we've got.
Sounds good to me. While there are definitely challenges, the guide also highlights some major advantages, like strong job security and real potential for career advancement. Plus, it mentions something about the opportunity to work with some pretty cool technology.
Okay, wait, hold on. Cutting edge technology. In the world of train inspection, I need to hear more about this.
It's easy to picture someone with a clipboard and a wrench, right? But this field is evolving rapidly. Think infrared cameras detecting microscopic cracks in the wheels, sensors monitoring bike temperatures in real time, even AI-powered software that analyzes data from thousands of points to predict potential failures before they even happen.
Wow, so it's like the transportation industry is having its own little tech revolution.
Exactly. But even with all these high-tech tools, this job still requires a specific kind of expertise, a deep understanding of how these complex systems work. And that expertise can open doors to some pretty exciting career paths, which is what we'll unpack next.
It's amazing how technology is changing everything. Even, like you said, a field as well established as train inspection.
And you know what? Those technological advancements actually directly impact the career trajectory of a rolling stock inspector.
Oh, interesting. In what way?
Well, the guide we've been looking at, it actually lays out a pretty clear progression. You can start at an entry-level position and work your way all the way up to management.
That's awesome, especially for people who are looking for a job with, a future room to grow. So let's say you're just starting out as a rolling stock inspector. What do those early days even look like?
Well, you're not going to be, inspecting trains solo right out of the gate. You'd start by assisting more experienced inspectors, getting your hands dirty, so to speak, while you learn the ropes, familiarizing yourself with all the equipment and the company's specific rolling stock.
It's like an apprenticeship almost.
Yeah, very much so. And the example profile section of the guide, it does a great job of bringing that experience to life. There's one profile where the inspector talks about spending those first few years really honing their skills, learning to prepare those all-important documents, basically becoming a shadow to the senior inspectors.
Soaking it all in.
Exactly. And as you gain experience, as you prove yourself, you progress to inspecting more independently, taking on more responsibility. And now it's not just about identifying issues, you're responsible for documenting them clearly, accurately, understanding the potential impact of even the smallest detail.
Because those reports can be critical, right?
Right.
If there's ever an investigation or, God forbid, an accident. Yeah.
Exactly. Your documentation becomes essential for accountability, for improving those safety protocols over time. It's about thinking beyond just that immediate inspection and considering the long-term implications of what you're seeing.
Wow. So it's almost like you're a historian for trains.
Yeah.
Okay. So you paid your dues. You're moving up in the ranks. What does a senior rolling stock inspector actually do?
That's where those leadership skills really come into play. You might be supervising a team of inspectors, mentoring newer recruits, even getting involved in some of those more complex maintenance or repair tasks, the ones that require a deeper understanding of all the systems.
So you need to know the ins and outs of everything at that point.
Pretty much. The guide mentions something called advanced brake tests at that senior level.
Okay, advanced brake tests. What does that even entail?
So it's not just about making sure the brakes work. It's about analyzing their performance under all kinds of conditions, heavy loads, different weather. You've got to really understand how those factors play a role. Senior inspectors, they can spot wear and tear patterns, use diagnostic tools. They can pinpoint those potential issues before they become major problems.
So being proactive, not just reactive.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've climbed the ladder, you're at the top of your game. What does it look like from that chief rolling stock inspector's office?
Now you're talking big picture. A chief inspector, they oversee all the inspection activities for the entire organization, making sure everyone's adhering to those safety regulations. They might even be involved in developing new procedures, evaluating new technologies, contributing to decisions about investing in new rolling stock or upgrading existing equipment. It's a big job.
And I bet all those analytical skills you honed, poring over those inspection reports early in your career, those really come in handy at that level.
Oh, absolutely. At that stage, it's all about analyzing trends, but across the entire fleet now, identifying areas for improvement, using data to make those informed decisions that impact the whole organization.
So it's a lot of responsibility, but also a lot of influence.
Exactly.
So we've established there's a clear career path here, real room for growth. But let's get down to brass tacks. You've decided to pursue this career, you've polished up that resume, and boom, you've got an interview coming up. What do you need to know to ace it?
Well, luckily for you, RoleCatcher has your back. They have a whole section dedicated to interview prep, questions to expect. It's a lifesaver when you're trying to anticipate those curveball questions they might throw at you.
Right, because knowing what they're going to ask is half the battle. So what are some of the questions that came up in the guide?
Well, one that comes up a lot is, what experience do you have in rolling stock inspection? Seems straightforward enough, right?
Yeah, pretty standard.
But there's more to it than meets the eye. It's about reading between the lines a bit.
Okay, so what are they really trying to uncover with a question like that?
They're assessing your familiarity with the industry, your hands-on experience. Even if it's from internships or apprenticeships, it's your chance to show them you're passionate about this field specifically, not just that you're interested in trains generally.
It's about showing them you've done your homework.
Exactly. Okay, here's one that often trips people up. How do you ensure that rolling stock is maintained in accordance with safety regulations?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
And it goes beyond just knowing the regulations. It's about demonstrating your unwavering commitment to safety, which is paramount in this field, right? So you'll want to highlight your approach to inspections, your understanding of those documentation procedures, your ability to spot and address potential hazards.
Basically, you're not going to cut corners when it comes to safety. Okay, give me one more question, something that'll really make a candidate stand out from the crowd.
All right, how about this? Can you describe a time when you had to troubleshoot an issue with rolling stock?
Oh, a classic behavioral question.
Exactly. They want to hear about your problem-solving skills in action, how you stay calm under pressure, how you apply your technical knowledge in those real-world situations. It's your chance to tell a story that demonstrates your competence and resourcefulness.
And hopefully that story ends with you, saving the day and ensuring those trains run on time.
That's the idea. It's all about showcasing how your skills translate into tangible results. Remember, they're not just looking for someone who can follow instructions. They want someone who can think critically, solve problems independently, and contribute to the team's success.
It sounds like a job that requires both, like a sharp mind and a steady hand. But what about those of us who, are fascinated by this field but maybe aren't cut out for that hands-on work? Are there other ways to be involved in the world of rolling stock inspection? That's a really good question. We get so focused on, the nuts and bolts of the job itself, but there's a whole ecosystem around keeping those trains running, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. The companies that design and build the trains, the software developers, creating those cool inspection tools we were just talking about. Even the data analysts who are making sense of all that sensor data to improve safety and efficiency. It's not just one job. It's a whole interconnected web of careers.
Right. And it makes you wonder, with all this talk about cutting-edge technology, what does the future of train inspection even look like? Especially with automation becoming more and more common.
Yeah, it's a big question, isn't it? Are we going to see robots replacing humans on the tracks? I think it's a bit more nuanced than that. While AI and automation are definitely going to transform the field, it's more likely that they'll become powerful tools for the inspectors, not replacements.
So instead of like elbow grease, it's going to be more about brain power, data analysis, and collaborating with these advanced systems.
Exactly. Imagine AI analyzing images from sensors to detect those tiny defects that a human eye might miss, allowing the human inspectors to really focus their expertise on the most critical areas. Or think about predictive maintenance systems that can alert inspectors to potential problems before a train even leaves the station. That kind of technology frees up inspectors to really focus on those complex issues, interpreting the data, and using their judgment to make the best decisions.
So those analytical skills we talked about, those become even more important in this future landscape.
Absolutely. The most valuable inspectors in the future will be those who can work with these technologies, understanding the data, those complex systems, and making those judgment calls that a computer just can't replicate.
It's almost like becoming a detective, right?
Yeah.
Piecing together clues from all this data to create the safest, most efficient railway system possible.
I love that analogy. It's about constantly learning, constantly adapting, staying one step ahead as technology evolves. And who knows what other amazing innovations are just around the corner. Maybe we'll have self-diagnosing trains or virtual reality training programs for inspectors. The possibilities are really pretty exciting.
It sounds like a career path that's not only vital today, but has incredible potential for the future. So for our listeners out there who, love the idea of keeping things running smoothly, who have a sharp eye for detail, and who aren't afraid of a challenge.
This deep dive might have just sparked a new career path for you.
And hey, if you do decide to explore the world of rolling stock inspection, we want to hear about it. Share your journey with us, because we're always up for more fascinating deep dives.
Until then, keep those wheels turning safely and efficiently, of course.
And keep diving deep with us. We'll see you in the next episode.